Hello, it's Zach with a podcast named Tim, here discussing another Power Ranger Beast Morphers review. Today, episode 5, Taking Care of Business. And as always, we're going to be doing our episode review and monster rating at the end for the monster of the week. This week, it's Slicertron. So the episode starts off, or the theme of the episode, the mayor is getting Devon a job. Of course, Devon, the Red Power Ranger, the job he gets him is at Sudsy's Car Wash, and he's doing this to try and teach him responsibility. And Devon, of course, is trying to explain to him he's very busy, but can't give his dad the reason because secret identities. He says instead that he is an arcade champion, but of course, Dad's like not buying that. He doesn't want to let his dad down. They have kind of a relationship, where he's just trying to prove himself. Feels like his dad's not proud of him, and so this is something that Devon really wants to make work and is the crux of the show as far as what we're going to be working with from a storyline perspective. Evox on the bad guys' side is very mad that he can't escape. Skrillex is telling him that he's hacked into some cameras around the city, Coral Harbor. But before he can discuss his plan of why he's hacked into these cameras all over the city, Blaze steps in and says he has a plan. It's very direct. We're gonna cut directly into a tower and just drain a bunch of Morphex. Direct to the point. Evox likes the plan. He's going to go with that one this time. We are introduced to a new character this week, and that is General Burke. He wants to go on the offensive against Evox, and he is the father of Ben and Betty. He also has a bit of a comic relief side to him as well. And Ben and Betty, speaking of them, they did show off a dogotronic that they have made this week. Basically, it's a tronic that's acting like a dog. It's just that simple. And this actually gives Nate a good idea, and he's trying to reassure General Burke, who clearly knows that his kids are not deserving of being there. But he reassures them. He says they actually have a good idea. There may be some useful tech that we can get from the Giga drones and that we can convert and use against the bad guys. Great idea. General Burke likes it as well, so he allows them access to his secret hangar in the woods. So basically, what the good guys are going to be doing is collecting all of the Giga drones that have been laying around the city and putting them into the bunker, which is a great idea. Because if you think about it, in Power Rangers, there's always these big epic fights, and we never know what happens afterwards. These buildings are destroyed. There's monster bits laying everywhere, so we're getting into the aftermath of one of these giant battles. So very interesting concept there. And Ravi is not very happy that Devon has to do all this work. He just, he basically doesn't understand. He's like, just don't do it. You're a Power Ranger. But anyway, his dad, the mayor, ends up showing up at the car wash. They have a nice bonding moment. You find out the dad actually used to work at a car wash as well. I presume at Sudsy's, since they seem to have a good relationship. He could call in a favor for his son. Unfortunately, monsters end up attacking during his day of work, and he takes his communicator off and leaves it to the side. I assume maybe they're not waterproof because that's going to come into play a little later as well. But he leaves it off, doesn't hear the monster attack, and again, while this is going on, the Yellow and Blue Ranger are out, picking up Giga drones and transporting them to the secret bunker in the woods. There's actually a really good choreographed fight between Blaze and the other Rangers. So well done there. The bad guy of the week against Slicertron. Again, the plan is to cut something out of a tower, and so they put the infected Morphex into a buzzsaw, and that's what becomes Slicertron. He actually ends up cutting some poles and knocking some of the Rangers out. They're about to be taken out. Of course, the Red Ranger shows up just in time to save them. Again, Devon doesn't want to quit his job. That's kind of where we're at now. Where he's realizing he's running out of time, which is another great thing that trope that they're working with. In Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, typically the kids were involved in like a million different things that no one would have enough time to do, and it rarely came back to bite them. And so I like that they're presenting these kids as having real life challenges. That's so two good marks on the idea of what we're accomplishing and the tropes that we're working with here in Power Rangers. Unfortunately, Nate does say he does give an update and says that the Giga drones cannot be used because when they explode, basically all the circuitry goes out and the tech is no longer useful. And so when they Devon is at the car wash again because he's got to go back to work, and the other Rangers do show up to help him to lend a helping hand, which is very nice. Unfortunately, again, they all take off their communicators, so again leads me to believe must not be waterproof. Why wouldn't you be able to wear it while washing a car? And while they're doing this, bad guys have a great idea. We're gonna go take the communicators, slice them and dice them in order to make sure that the Rangers cannot be communicated with. And they go and they go into one of the big Giga drones and just start sucking up all the energy from one of the models or from one of the towers, and it's a gamma model. Now I haven't really figured out how this works here in this version of Power Rangers because you have like alpha model and beta model and gamma model, and I don't know if there's just putting in words to make it sound cool or if these specific models mean anything to the strength of the monster. But that might be something to take a look at. Of course, Grid Battle Force shows up. Basically, Commander Shaw shows up. She's not happy that no one's answering, and she's like, "Y'all need to take care of this." What's funny is Sudsy is, he's like, "You can't leave or you're gonna get fired," which makes sense. But I'm like, Grid Battle Force is right there. Clearly, you all are not doing a good job of hiding your secret identities because you're just showing up at their work like, "Hey, get in this car with us and we're gonna go take care of business." So I thought it was weird that Sudsy didn't pick up on like, oh, clearly he's doing something important for Grid Battle Force, but is what it is. It's Power Rangers. Um, they have a pretty decent fight. The Giga Drone is only facing off against the Red Racer Zord. Blue and yellow are left behind to fight the smaller version. The bigger version, that what they always do or what they've been doing is the Giga Drone version of the monster has like a new power that they're attaching to it. This time it's a shield. And I will say the bigger version of the monsters also always look a lot cooler in design. But again, for our rating system, which we'll get to in a minute, we're only doing the smaller version. What's interesting here from a kayfabe lore perspective is that we find out that the B-Spots can actually pilot the Zords on their own. And I thought that was fascinating, but it also makes me wonder, why do we need Power Rangers? Because if these B-Spots are equipped to do this, if a big Giga Drone or something else attacked the city, just use the B-Spots. Why do we need Power Rangers? But it was interesting. I don't know if they're going to get into, maybe there's other things they can't do as far as like when they're in the full Megazord mode or something, but they can pilot the single Zords alone. Basically, after that, Devon does a cool move and stabs the Giga Drone like in the heart, but somehow doesn't have it explode. He like knocks out the circuits just to power it down. And so now they're going to have some useful tech to study and hopefully learn some stuff about the bad guys. I did want to go back to a part I missed earlier, which was the Power Rangers are fighting outside of a couple buildings, and the mayor stops by and he actually sees the Red Ranger, his son, save a little girl. This is like right after he's gotten the call that his son's been fired, so he's very angry at his son, but very proud of the Red Ranger, and he actually gives a speech to that effect later on where he's talking about how proud he is and thanks the Rangers for all their wonderful work they've been doing for the city. So you can see probably where this is going. We're going to get a review at least by the end of the series where he's going to find out, oh my God, my son's the Red Ranger. I'm so proud of you. I'm so sorry. What I will say I did not like about this episode, I like the fact that we're kind of explaining away some of the tropes or addressing them. What I did not like was, and you kind of have to take your brain off for some of this, because the kid show is, and it's Power Rangers specifically, is I don't understand why they just didn't just give him a job at Grid Battle Force. I almost messed it up. Why not just give him a job there? That way he can explain away why he's there all the time. So just give him a job there. Just that would have made the most sense. Who am I? But the thing about the beasts can pilot the Zords. That was the beast bots. It's an interesting and cool idea. I just don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. It's cool, but it kind of, to me, makes the Rangers a little less needed. And I'm still waiting. And again, I like the fact that we're waiting off on the Megazord, but at the same time, I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, all right, these people have been fighting just one Ranger basically in their Zord and being defeated. So let's up the ante and get to it. I'm ready to see a Megazord and see a Megazord fight. As far as Slicertron, if you've never seen one of our episodes, we have a one of a kind, patent pending monster rating system, and basically it is 5 categories we look at. The total you can get in a particular category is 5. That's right, 5 times 5. 25 would be the best monster you could ever have. It is the design of the monster, the look, the plan, as far as the plan to destroy the Power Rangers, the powers that the monster has, the success that they have against the Rangers and executing their plan, and the voice of the monster. Because if you've ever watched Power Rangers, sometimes the monsters have ridiculous voices. So for Slicertron, I gave him a 3 for the look. This was what I would describe as a good average monster. And I know I've been hard on this season. The Gigadrone version was great, but the smaller version was really well done. Nice metallic look. It worked in the actual item that it was copying and being infected with very well. For plan, we're gonna cut a giant hole into a building and steal all the Morphex. Very just straight to the point. Nothing super creative there in some respects, but hey, I'll give you an average. Gave it 3 out of 5. For powers, again, 3 out of 5. All it had some blades on its side that it could kind of use to headbutt the Rangers, but it also shot out like buzzsaws. That's pretty awesome. I gave it a 3 just because in some respects it is a one-trick pony. In order to get to that 4 or 5 range, I typically like monsters that have multiple powers that they can dip into. And a lot of these monsters for this season have been very specific, built for a specific purpose, because they are just copying an average item you would see. But that's why I gave it a 3. It's just because it didn't have different things it could go to. Success, 3. Look, they got the Morphex. I thought about giving it a 4, but the big thing here is Blaze, one of the lieutenants, is there a lot, doing a lot of the fighting. Also, it was destroyed by one Megazord, not even a Megazord, by one Ranger, but the Beast Bots did come in to help as well, so it did take that. So I gave it a 3 for success, and for the voice, 2. This is the first episode where we've kind of dipped into that kind of weird, cheesy voices that Power Rangers use for their monsters. So if I can add correctly, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 14 last I checked. If I am incorrect, it'll be in the graphic correctly. But 14 is what I have. It is the highest rated monster. Again, every week that they have done this show, I've done this so far, they've had a stronger monster every week. So I'm very excited to hopefully see next week's and or the next episode, and maybe we'll move up the ladder again. And I think once Evox comes around, we're really going to be getting there. So I'm excited to see next week, see what kind of cool tech we might have been borrowing and playing around with that we've learned from the Gigadrones. But I would say a good episode, necessary for the story as far as from Devon and the mayor. Again, I really like how they're treating these teens and their relationships and how they're actually dealing with being Power Rangers. But there was just, again, like, why not just give them a job at Grid Battle Force? That was the only weird thing. Overall, pretty good monster, or average monster. And we'll see you next time here for our more Beast Morpher reviews, Mighty Morphin reviews, Star Wars, all that good stuff. Check out the channel, like, share, and subscribe. You know what to do. You've probably been on YouTube before. Thank you for checking us out, and we'll see you next time on a podcast named Tim.